As Europe approaches the end of 2025, debates about whether Russia might initiate a new military move are intensifying. The prolonged war in Ukraine, Moscow's harsher rhetoric, and increased activity near its borders have pushed the possibility of a new conflict into serious discussion. This tense atmosphere has brought the Suwalki corridor back into the spotlight. Many European countries have recently increased intelligence monitoring, convinced that Russia is testing regional security. Especially in the Baltic states, Moscow's exercises near the border and the rise in air-sea patrols are watched closely. These developments highlight the region's strategic vulnerability and raise concern across NATO's eastern flank. The renewed focus on the Suwalki corridor comes from the belief that Russia may consider this narrow strip as a critical first step in any attack scenario. Difficult to defend and strategically essential, the corridor is NATO's only land route to the Baltic states. Experts warn that any incident here could trigger a direct confrontation. Though small, the corridor between Poland and Lithuania carries remarkable military importance. Considering Russia's close partnership with Belarus, a land link between Kaliningrad and Belarus would give Moscow a major advantage in the Baltics. This possibility has sparked serious alarm in several European capitals. Russia's previous military strategies often centered on isolating its opponent by cutting key supply or access routes. This pattern has been visible from Georgia to Ukraine. Analysts argue that targeting the Suwalki corridor could quickly sever the Baltics' land connection to the rest of NATO, testing the alliance's response time and unity. This year's extensive joint exercises between Russia and Belarus were closely followed in the West. Commentators argued that these drills were not merely routine training, but a political message to NATO's eastern members. Some scenarios reportedly resembled conflict simulations near the Suwalki line, intensifying ongoing debates. Poland, perceiving rising risk, significantly reinforced its military presence along the border. New units, upgraded radar systems, and air defense batteries were deployed. Warsaw insisted these moves were defensive, yet Moscow accused Poland of provocation, escalating the rhetorical standoff between the two sides. Lithuania has also tightened its security policies, establishing new monitoring points along its border. The government raised its alert level due to hybrid threats and frequent airspace tensions linked to Belarus. Although aligned with NATO's defense framework, these measures have further heightened tensions in the region. Increasing Russian submarine activity in the Baltic Sea has added pressure to the situation. Swedish and Finnish naval forces report more frequent encounters with Russian vessels in recent months. These interactions suggest intensified reconnaissance and underline that the Baltic is once again becoming a major geopolitical contest zone. In response, Nordic countries have strengthened their defense cooperation. Joint exercises, updated emergency communication channels, and frequent coastal patrol operations have become routine. These efforts aim to improve coordination and prepare the region for any sudden escalation, gaining broad support across Europe. NATO continues reinforcing its eastern flank to maintain deterrence. Recent deployments by the United States and Germany, especially new air units, demonstrate that the alliance takes the threat seriously. Such moves also reinforce the idea that the Suwalki corridor could be the first target in a potential conflict. Moscow claims this activity is an unnecessary escalation by the West. Kremlin officials argue that NATO's military buildup near Russian borders forces them to respond more assertively. These mutual accusations signal that diplomatic space is shrinking, raising fears that tensions may eventually spiral out of control. Experts warn the greatest danger may come not from deliberate action, but from technical errors or misinterpretations. With constant flights, patrols, and drills, even a small mistake could escalate rapidly. For this reason, many nations stress the importance of maintaining open emergency communication channels. The geography of the Suwalki corridor also increases the risk. Narrow, rugged, and unfavorable for rapid maneuver, the terrain limits reaction time during any incident. Analysts therefore call the area NATO's soft underbelly, emphasizing that any disruption could have immediate and far-reaching military consequences. Russia's joint planning with Belarus, combined with Kaliningrad's strategic position, creates a pressure corridor on NATO's flank. Kaliningrad already poses a significant threat with its advanced missile systems and naval assets. Belarus strengthening this chain amplifies Moscow's maneuvering capacity and deepens European fears. Some European states believe a possible Russian offensive would likely be hybrid rather than purely conventional. Cyber attacks, Pressure on energy networks, propaganda campaigns, and manipulation of migrant flows could play a central role in the opening phase of a conflict. As a result, governments are reinforcing civilian infrastructure. The course of the war in Ukraine remains an important factor. Despite weakened battlefield momentum, Russia appears committed to long-term military pressure. This leads analysts to speculate that Moscow might try to open a secondary front to shift attention and stretch Western resources. Still, some experts argue that Russia's economic situation may limit its ability to launch a large-scale war. Sanctions, rising war expenses, and domestic financial pressure could complicate Kremlin planning. However, these constraints do not eliminate the possibility of a limited or symbolic operation designed to gain leverage. European nations have responded to uncertainty by raising defense budgets to historic levels. New weapons programs, air defense investments, and joint production projects are accelerating. This trend shows that the threat of Russian aggression is reshaping Europe not only militarily, but also politically and economically. Even with rising tensions, many analysts still consider a full-scale war unlikely, given the catastrophic outcomes it would bring to both sides. Still, low probability does not mean no risk. Therefore, the Suwalki corridor remains one of the most sensitive and strategically crucial points in Europe's defense posture. In conclusion, Europe's eastern borders have entered their most fragile period in years. Russia's intentions remain unclear, but the region's military buildup casts a long shadow over the continent's security. To prevent miscalculation, governments are trying to balance diplomacy and deterrence simultaneously. As developments continue to shift, tensions around the Suwalki corridor will remain central to Europe's security outlook. For more in-depth strategic analysis, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. New videos will further explore how this region shapes the future of European stability.